Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine, but the carnal mind is foolish. Obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out, stop it. I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second nature to me, just to be this out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everybody in this beautiful world. Hey, it is about to be December. You know what that means? Allergies about to kick up, snow's about to go all around the north, and everybody is gonna be stuck up in their own feelings, and they're gonna be like, man, I'm feeling stuffy. All this weather is getting to me. Because you know what? I was like that myself. I will be honest. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would be waking up stuffy in the morning through the winter. I would be waking up with a little bit of hangover crude, feeling. I would just be waking up a little bit unbalanced. But then I started really getting some supplements, right? I started focusing on my energy, right? And I found Boomer Boost products. It was honestly a blast, like, to realize that there are companies who think like me, who don't want to have those fillers, who don't want to have that artificial BS. Look, man, these guys are organic. As Baby Bash says, it's organic, don't panic. And that's what we are about over here in the 509 Divine Pines. And this is my man Rolly Culp from Boomer Boost, a representative, and we're gonna discuss some nutrition for y'all today. And the floor is yours, Rolly. So, go ahead and introduce yourself for my viewers.
Thank you, Joe, man. I appreciate it. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me here. And I did get the shirt. It's
amazing.
official.
Hey,
thank you, my
here we
friend.
go.
Wearing that with pride, dude. I'll be wearing it to work, and I'll be showing everybody. So thank you, man. Anyway, my name's Raleigh, man. I work for Boomer Products. And what it is it's a nutritional supplement company. It was started about 10 years ago by two older gentlemen. One of them was pretty sick and needed a way to get better. And somehow he met Bob Gilpatrick. So we've got Bob and Larry. Larry's the guy who was getting sick, and he was crumbly, like the Brits say. So Bob and Larry got together, and they decided to create this company from a bunch of nutritional information and a bunch of really, really good experience that Bob Gilpatrick had. Long story short, we ended up creating some stuff that was really helped out. Like right now, we've probably got over about 5,000 people who's been using the products. We've got some really great reviews, and I'm just coming here to kind of talk with Joe, go over some stuff. We have a really good like mindset, and one of the things that we're really passionate about, as we were talking before, was like the organic stuff. So being natural, all natural energy, no more stimulants. The stimulants, we were talking, they're like the poison, man. So you don't drink the poison, drink the good stuff, drink the strong stuff. And that's Boomer Products. So one of the things that he was asking me to kind of go over, just kind of give a kind of baseline of like what it is that we offer and how it's a little bit different. So like our products are based on the idea of fundamental nutrition. Right. So when you go in and you walk down the supplement aisle, you'll see something for heart health. You'll see something for circulation. You'll see something for eye health. You'll see something for diabetes support. You know, you'll see all these things for sleep aid, anxiety, all that stuff. It's all separate things, right? That they're pretty much just charging you extra for because you're buying them all in separate bottles and you're overpaying for it. So what we kind of did was we decided to take all those things and combine them into one system, and that addresses what we call fundamental nutrition, right? So what's fundamental nutrition? Fundamental nutrition is basically, it's the nutrients that everybody needs regardless of their age, race, gender, you know, whether they're a sports athlete, whether they're a regular person. The basis is what they need, and that's kind of fundamental nutrition in a nutshell, right? So what it is it's minerals, antioxidants, metabolic enzymes, amino acids, good fats, vitamin D, which a lot of people don't know. That's basically comes from the sun, but a lot of the times you don't get it. So vitamin D is really crucial. Then all the regular, you know, the good vitamins A, C, and E. And it basically combines all of them with a really powerful antioxidant, right? Antioxidants are the things that help us kind of slow down how fast we age, help us recover from injury, right? So what we do is we've kind of combined all these things with a couple different products into what we call a total health system. And that's some of the stuff that I sent to Joe that he's been talking about, that he's been using, that's been really helping him. So one of the things that I did send him that I know is really wild about is there's something that we call a gladiator barley, right? So just a little backstory on gladiator barley. It's not just called gladiator barley because it sounds awesome. Came up with the name, but it actually dates back to the time of the gladiators. So like 5,000 years ago, the gladiators' main staple for their diet was barley. So much so that they were actually known as hordeari, which means barley eaters. So what they did is they ate barley as a main staple of their food. And what it ended up doing, and I don't think that anybody really expected it to, was build muscle and bone strength, endurance, and stamina. So luckily, these guys who need it the most, the gladiators who are, you know, fighting to the death, they were given this sports nutrition fuel from ancient times. And that's actually been kind of confirmed. There's been some archaeological digs done by University of Bristol, where they actually found a ancient Roman burial ground, and they actually exhumed the bones, and they were able to compare the bone structure and the chemical composition to the ones of regular civilians, you know, civilians found in regular graves. And they found a couple really amazing things. The density of the bones of the gladiators was much, much more dense. And in many cases, instead of a bone getting broken by, say, you know, getting hit by a sword or an axe or whatever it is they were getting attacked with, it actually just chipped the bone, right? The bone was just chipped instead of completely broken through. So this gladiator barley is something that we ended up discovering from an amazing plant scientist that resides up in northern Canada. And it's not just the barley seeds, it's actually a sprouted seed, which up until, you know, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, when the scientists figured out how to do it, you couldn't really, I guess, consistently sprout seeds and make them worth anything because they didn't last very long. All the nutrients in them didn't last long. And sprouting something is a very hard thing to do among a million different seeds, right? You've got a million different seeds and you're going to sprout them, but they all have to stop at the exact right amount of time, because if not, they won't be proper for human consumption. Maybe you let it sprout too long and then the protein turns into something that's more suitable for like a horse or a chicken, right? So that's actually how he started using this, was for feed for chicken and horses. And then he started doing all these studies on the chickens and on the horses compared to regular, you know, horses that aren't eating this type of sprouted barley feed. And they found that just like the gladiators, the chickens were bigger, their muscles were bigger, their bones were bigger and denser. Their actual cardiovascular health was actually a lot better than regular chickens who just ate regular like corn feed and stuff. So that was something that was really a remarkable thing. So Bob ended up finding this guy and helping Larry get together with him. And they started using this barley along with another product Bob had helped develop about 25 years earlier when he was working in a hospital for people who had heart problems. And they had a nutritional scientist who actually helped develop all the recommended daily allowances for vitamins, develop a nutritional drink basically to give to heart patients so they could just basically stay healthy enough to get a heart transplant. So these heart patients were people that were on a heart transplant list, and they were like not really going to make it because, you know, hearts are easy to find, especially ones that won't get rejected. So they had to come up with something that would at least help them to stay healthy enough to be able to get the surgery. So Bob helped develop this probably about now maybe 40 years ago, but at the time about 30 years prior. And his friend who helped him develop it stopped using the formula. So Bob asked his friend, who's actually the owner of Nutricology, another very large supplement company, if we could take on that formula and start remaking it. They stopped making it. Nutricology stopped making it because it was too expensive to actually make. And not a lot of people were going to spend that much money or were spending that much money on a supplement. So Bob called him up. And the amazing thing is because this barley increases your ability to absorb nutrients so much more, they were able to take this original formula and make it less, but just as effective. Because when you combine the Gladiator barley and the Boomer Boost together, it actually amplifies all the nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids that are in the Boomer Boost. And then there's over 4,000 compounds in the Gladiator barley itself. And that's things like metabolic enzymes and amino acids, vitamin B, tons of stuff. SOD. Now, you guys say, what's SOD? Sounds like a bad band name or something. What it is SOD is an antioxidant, and it stands for superoxide dismutase, right? So why would you use these things together? Well, the Boomer Boost has everything your body needs to create energy and kind of rebuild your body. And the Gladiator barley is going to have everything that you kind of need to detoxify and also assist with the repair and rebuild process, as well as this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. So when you combine these two things together, it's like a perfect storm, right? And what we found, the people who take this, and you can check the reviews out at boomerboost.com, the people who take this are, you know, they have some health issues. A lot of people who are diabetics, a lot of people who are on blood pressure medicines, a lot of people who have family members, you know, older family members that were sick, not able to get out of bed, neuropathy, you know, chronic diseases, kidney issues, on kidney, you know, dialysis, have actually used our products and been able to almost get off all their medicines and get out of any surgeries that they had. And that's actually what happened with Larry. So if I backtrack to my original story, how Boomers got started, when Bob met Larry, Larry was crumbly. He was like, I think he was on like 20 prescriptions. He was supposed to have 3 different surgeries. And he was actually like 80. He was about 80 pounds heavier than he is now. So when Bob started working with Larry, he was like, man, let me help you with your nutrition because you aren't going to last much longer, because Larry was real unhealthy. So he got him all these things. He got him all on this regimen of Boomer barley. At the time, we called it Boomer barley. Now it's Gladiator. He got him on the Gladiator barley, Boomer Boost, and he also added an omega-3s, vitamin D, and you got to have probiotics for gut health, right? So he developed this kind of a thing just for Larry. And in about like 6 months, after about 6 months, Larry had lost about 45 pounds. He got off about 10, 12 of the prescriptions he was on, and he definitely didn't need the surgeries anymore. So that was great. And then about a year later, he was down about 75, 80 pounds. He wasn't on any more meds. Actually, he was completely off all his prescriptions, and definitely still no need for surgery. He actually had to reapply for life insurance around that time. And when he reapplied for life insurance, the life insurance policy people got his blood work, because you got to go take tests, make sure you're healthy enough so you're not going to die tomorrow if they sign you. And so Larry at this age he was 73. Either way, he was older, 73, I think. So either way, he applies for the insurance to renew his insurance policy, and he sends it in, gets the blood work, goes to the doctor. They send all the paperwork in, and they contact him and they say, yeah, this is such and such insurance, and we just wanted to let you know that you've been approved for the best insurance we offer, but it looks like there's some problem with the paperwork. The birth certificate and information we have is from a guy who was born in like 1947, I think is when Larry was born. And they were like, I think that based on like the health and the blood work, it doesn't look right. Could you just make sure it's the right date on the birth date? And we were like, no, that's right. And so we resent him his his driver's license and all his pertinent information that proved who he was. And they're like, oh, wow. So he ended up like going from death's door, 1 foot in the grave, to qualifying for one of the best insurance policies because his health was so good. So after that kind of happened, it was obviously something like that changes your life, and it changes your perspective, and it changes how you feel about helping people. Like me and Joe were talking about, one of the things we connect a lot on is our want to kind of help people. And he's known around town as kind of like the helper. So I can relate to that. And it's kind of like what happened with Larry. Larry was like, if this works so well for me, and I was, a big blob of nothing, maybe we should like, invest some money into doing this. And luckily, Larry, even though Larry wasn't healthy, Larry worked really hard throughout his whole life. He actually was abandoned when he was younger by his father when he was about 13 years old. So Larry worked from the age of 13 until, actually he still works. And he should work less, but he doesn't. But he's worked from the age of 13 when he was left in an apartment by himself to now. And he's been very successful with a lot of the businesses and decisions in real estate he's decided to invest in. And it wasn't like he got lucky. He had to work hard for it. So when he had this idea, he had done the work in his prior life, we'll say, to be able to fund it to help people who were just like him, who had nowhere to go, who were on 20 different meds, about to die, 3 surgeries. So that's when they formed Boomer Products. And it was formed around this total health system, which is the main thing that, most people use. Some people, they need more help, right? So if I talk about fundamental nutrition, there's a thing called the supplement pyramid. And it's not like the food pyramid. Food pyramid's a little different, but the supplement pyramid basically has 3 levels. 1, 2, 3. Fundamental nutrition is your bottom layer, which is what the total health system provides. And a lot of people who have health issues that use that and actually just replenish what they don't have, it helps them. They really don't need much else. But then there's other people who have like sleep issues, really bad anxiety issues, which lately everybody I can imagine has anxiety issues. But we have other products that will help with that. And that's kind of the second tier or the second level of the supplement pyramid theory, which is your customized. So you have your fundamental nutrition, and then the things that you need help with, specific goals. Athletes that need, extra collagen, they need extra antioxidants. You can add in additional antioxidants. And then there's the third level, which is maximize. And that kind of goes into some next level stuff that we can talk about on other shows. Things like Beamer, which is a blood flow circulation mat that increases circulation throughout the body. And it actually mimics the pulsed electromagnetic field of the Earth's core. So it's quite an interesting science. And that's kind of how deep we go as far as trying to find natural healing, right? Because natural healing is what you want to do. If you artificially heal, it won't last long. So getting onto the idea of like recovery and all these things, I know a lot of people who are older, right? They want to stop aging. They want to slow down aging. But for people who are younger that don't worry about that so much, what's something that they could relate to? Recovery, right? People party, people turn up, people work out, people are athletes, people work hard even though they're not older, and your body basically starts burning itself up, right? Like from all the oxidation, and me and Joe were talking earlier about all the toxins that you get exposed to on a daily basis, all these things that you're bombarded with. If you smoking, if you drinking, they all basically burn your body up faster, like a log in a fire. So what you can try to do, or what you want to do, even as a young person, so you can recover quicker, is slow the burn down with natural antioxidants. Exercise, believe it or not, can actually help recovery. It sounds weird, but it gets the body in the habit of recovering. So it's like if you go out and you run around real fast for a day, your body's going to hurt for 3 or 4. But if you consistently run a little bit every day, your body gets used to it. So those are the type of things that you can do to help recovery and help speed it up. And the Boomer barley, the Gladiator barley, I'm sorry, is actually something that can help the process up too, because the antioxidants, and there's things in there that you guys probably know about, maybe not. A lot of people hear about it. It's called amino acids, right? Amino acids. So what the heck are amino acids? Amino acids are basically the building blocks of your body, right? They're like cinder blocks, pretty much. And then you have to have those, but you also have to have these things called metabolic enzymes. And metabolic enzymes is like the mortar that you put in between the blocks. So you can have all the blocks stacked up, but if somebody hits it, it's going to fall over because there's nothing holding it together. So in these products that I'm telling you guys about, there's metabolic enzymes, which is actually something that will glue these things together to help speed up recovery time. And to be honest with you, what you can do, if you really get onto the next level of things, you can slow down your inflammation so much that you're actually repairing your body faster than it's burning up. And so like Joe, have you ever heard this difference between like chronological versus biological age? Do you know that? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, you can definitely offset your aging process, recovery process, and you can retain a lot of regenerational aspects if you take care of your body. Comparing if you like destruct your body, you're gonna lose a lot of that regeneration.
Yeah. And so basically what we're going over here and what we're talking about is your body's ability to do that. And when you can speed up its ability to repair it, you can actually decrease your biological age. So you can actually get a test that tests, your physical age. I just turned 40 actually last weekend, November 19th. All right, cool. November 19th. So I'm 40, right? But if I take care of my body, I can actually get a test and check what my chronological age is based upon all my body's markers. Your obviously your blood work, but your adrenals, you test. There's many different tests you can take. We have blogs about that on our website. If you go to boomerboost.com, we have blogs about know your numbers. It'll tell you the kind of tests you need to take. Your C-reactive protein, which is the level of inflammation in your body, which of course you want to be as low as possible. People with diabetes have very high inflammation, like around 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like astronomical. That means you're burning up like a piece of dry wood. But if you can get your inflammation down to underneath 1 or lower, and that means you're like a nice piece of cedar. You're gonna burn low and slow. You're gonna be able to burn for a lot longer than that dry piece of, no offense, pine. You know what I mean?
So with the addition of NAD plus, nicotinamide, riboside, and mononucleotide. Sorry. So nicotinamide and mononucleotide and nicotinamide and riboside, which would activate your NAD plus, would that also benefit, right? Because that helps your aging process. So if you have this barley and then you also use NMN, your aging would like just start reversing in a sense.
Yeah, actually, it's cool you brought up the NAD stuff. I've just been reading a lot about that NAD, and we're actually looking at developing an NAD product. Because if you look at what that does and you combine it with what Boomer Boost, the Gladiator barley, and the good fats and the sunshine, the vitamin D are already doing, it takes, like, remember I told you the Boost and the barley, use them together, it's like multiplied by 100. Well,
Yeah.
we're looking at information that when you add that NAD in, it's like by 1,000. So
Well, that's what I've been doing for the past like 6 months. So
that's
like in the past
smart.
6 months, I've literally like skyrocketed physiologically. Like people at work, I was like busting my ass 2 times harder than my normal workers in my local blueberry job. And my boss like, yo,
What are you
Like
doing?
what? Yeah, man.
What
Like
are you doing,
and I
dog?
wasn't really messing up. I mean, I had like one slip up, but like beyond that, there was nothing. Like there was no slack in performance. I wasn't even really getting much. It was in a freezer, and so I can definitely see what you're saying. It's increasing by 1,000%. Because I was wondering myself, because I was using Boomer Boost for about 2 years, and I then started using this NMN this year, and I started just feeling a difference. Like
Mhm.
I actually feel like right now that my body is regenerating. There's no other way
That's
to say. When I drink water, like I feel the regeneration.
that's called the
Um,
life force, man. You got that life force that you can feel is like you're in a video game and you hit that potion and you're back to 100%. In this case, you're at like 200%. You're elevating that. You're reversing that chronological age, and you're a young man, right? You're a young
I'm
guy. So
29.
yeah, you're young, man. So you
Right.
know,
So referencing that light, it was an aspect that I wanted to point on earlier when you talked about gladiator barley being used 5,000 years ago. There's actually some other texts that I've seen in the Bible where they talk about barley being the one of the main foods that would be in the tradition that would help humanity, help the
that,
farmers, but also provide life. Now then looked into the Vedic text, and it's the same thing. It's actually one of
Ayurvedic
the
text.
five. It's in one of the five ancient superfoods. And when we look at some of these ancient aspects in food, and foods, and spirituality, we, I guess, can understand that maybe in back in the day, some of these cults who were very spiritual, highly developed, highly conscious, highly intellectual, because we look at the pyramids and we look at Stonehenge. These things were made by geniuses. So
Yeah,
these foods and the
Gobekli Tepe.
spirituality,
I
yeah,
mean, Gobekli Tepe. I mean, that is like precision. You can't do that today.
right. So the foods would, are hand in hand with our correlation to our inner light. Our inner light being. I constantly reference that there's light families and there's families of darkness, and we can see how undeniably, if we start resorting back to the organic foods, these natural foods, some of these superfoods that have been known for thousands of years to be some of the like world's most powerful, and in some cases, let's just say, in reference, cannabis in the Vedic text is also blessed to be like a guardian angel
Mhm.
spirit. So some of these foods may have these spiritual residual energies that we may not see with our dimmed eyes, that we can only see like 2% of the light. So these foods would activate our light, the spiritual. We can
Yeah.
actually vibrate on some spiritual essence that's making us feel alive. We come to the light. We fill with love. I know when I eat organic food and I have a nice organic, I feel like I'm in love. Whereas if I go to McDonald's, there's some hate behind that energy. I just feel dark. If I eat a bag of hot Cheetos, there's this darkness. If I drink a Dr. Pepper, I act like there's just like this wicked, like vibrational energy that doesn't resonate, that doesn't help my spirit. It actually feels like it dims my spirit, closes my spirit. And when we look at, just the way that reality is played out between the families of light and families of darkness over time, some control certain areas and there's really regulated laws and foods, we can see how the foods are very important to us nowadays. Here in America, one of the most GMO in the world, we are controlled by, let's say, hypothetically, families of darkness. But maybe it's clearing. And these foods like Boomer Boost, these supplements like Boomer Boost, helps retain our light, regenerate our light. It helps bring us back to who we are, who we were, who we are supposed to be. It actually opens
Right.
up a whole spiritual pathways. If all right, if we're looking at this from a heavenly standpoint, when we activate these foods, when we activate our light, there's a whole bunch of spirits, and there's a whole bunch of past around us. Like all other humans are going to vibrate and resonate with us. So there's this huge matrix of energy that we are tapping into when we start resorting to our own foods, natural foods, and even now highlighting the spiritual factor of what barley and, for me, cannabis would be. So you know, it's really powerful to understand that the resonancy of who we are with the light inside of us. So, you know, melanin actually has two forms. There's melanin dark and there's melanin yellow, and that produces light. That's activated by what we understand is vitamin D, and you have a vitamin D blend as well. So, you know, understandably, there probably is some, you know, spiritual light behind this company. You know, I can see that, you know, just by nature itself, nature itself creates, you know. So
Yes, yes. Well, one
we
thing.
are one with nature, and so are you guys. Appreciate you
Well,
guys.
right, man. And that's kind of the idea, right? So, one of the things that you're speaking to, and one of the things that is actually key, like we believe that the products we create are actually an extension of our soul, right? Our soul being that light, right? And the idea behind the light and the idea of what you're saying is when you start to elevate your health a natural way, then you elevate your consciousness, and your consciousness is what gets you closer to the heavens, right? And so that concept of treating your body like a temple, right, giving it what it needs, not these dark resonant Doritos, you know, you don't want that stuff. Giving it the light food, the food that comes from the light, will only take you and your health into the light. So in a way, that's exactly the motto. That's what we say. Our products are an extension of our soul. And you know, there's nothing greater than being able to share our soul with you, you know.
Can see that my soul has been resonating, dude. Like, there's people who are coming up to me in my life here at the gym, here in the work, and they're like, you got that light in you. I'm like, and I, for a second, I want to say, what are you talking about? Like that,
Right.
you know, but then you know, my consciousness is like, all right, I
It
know what you're
starts to
talking
make
about.
sense.
Well,
Yeah, it
like,
starts to make
you know,
sense.
well, because, you know, half of the time for the last 25 years, you just didn't find this conversation. But I mean, we're in an age of Aquarius, and you know, people are resonating to these they're developed ideas, these highly
Higher
conscious
consciousness,
ideas.
man.
Uh,
Elevate the consciousness.
and you know, and speaking of real quick, when we look at the foods, maybe possibly having Cinemex and HEK, man, that's some dark stuff. And this right here brings us back to the soul, brings us back to the light. And yeah, man, hey, this has been awesome. So you go ahead, you want to go ahead and discuss a little bit more? I mean, we
Yeah,
got
yeah, I got a
another
couple other
30
things.
minutes here, I
Yeah,
believe.
well,
Us,
another,
you know.
yeah, I got a couple of things. I was actually kind of one of the things you had mentioned about the resonance and stuff. It's just stuff, as you mentioned, it kind of drew a memory out of my brain. So before I started doing, basically, I'm the director of marketing and director of operations right now here at Boomer Products. But when I started out, I actually started packing, right? I actually started packing boxes with products to send out. And so when I first started doing that, there was phones ringing and not enough people to answer. So I pick up the phone, started talking to people about the products, how they worked, explained to them the benefits. And really, the way that I learned how and what they did was not just reading the labels because I was shipping them, but Bob, who is an amazing man, you guys will probably meet soon. Bob is a great teacher. And even in just a passing conversation, he can teach you these things that you can take with you and use on an everyday basis. So I started kind of picking up a lot of the vibes from him. And I started getting on the phone and talking to all these people and kind of discussing with them. And I had this one lady who was real into pretty much exactly what you're talking about, this resonant energy. She would test supplements. And one of the things that she tested that really blew her mind was the Gladiator barley. She said that was one of the most active products she has actually ever had tested by an energy tested, I think is what she said, how she said she was going to have it done. And so she called me. She said she was going to do it. And then she called me back and told me, oh my God, this stuff is off the charts. And what that is, just going a little bit into that sprouting process. So, sprouting, a seed, right? A seed is what carries every instruction to create life, whether it's a plant, right? Whether it's a sperm, a human seed, in that seed is everything that you need to create life from light, right? Because plants grow with light. So what this product is actually able to do, and maybe why it resonates so much with you, Joe, is because it is sprouted. It's a sprouted seed. And once it gets to a certain enzymatic profile that's fit for humans, right? That matches the human profile for amino acids, it's halted all at the same time, right? And then that life that has been sprouted is actually preserved in a process that we have called the nutrient stabilization system. And it actually takes all those 4,000 compounds, the SOD that I was telling you about, the amino acids, the metabolic enzymes, and it coats them in a layer of electrons. So why does that make a difference? Because the way half-life works and the way that nutrients and compounds degrade is from oxidation. Just like I was telling you guys about how your body oxidizes, so do nutrients. And if nutrients aren't stabilized or protected, then what happens is errant electrons and neutrons steal the electrons from the compounds in the foods that we eat, in the supplements that we take, right? And when it gets to you and you consume it, you're not really getting any benefit, or minimal benefit, not any, but minimal benefit, because you don't have those nutrients. Now, in particular, the superoxide dismutase, the main mother of all antioxidants that's in the barley, there's actually a half-life of only 10 minutes on this SOD. So you think to yourself, well, how are you going to get it to me in 10 minutes? Well, obviously, we can't. That's where this nutrient stabilization process with this scientific, crazy science plant guy comes into play. What he does is he floods these sprouts with an electron storm. And these electrons coat the outside of these sprouts. Then we hand grind them with an old stone hand grinder. No metal, no mechanical processes. It's actually hand turned by some people up in Canada on a farm. And those hand ground flakes of barley sprout is what is in the Gladiator barley. And so, and they're coated in these electrons. And so this lady, going back to the whole point that I was making, the lady who tested the barley for this energy properties was like, I've never seen anything so active. And I don't know why it's so active. And so we explained to her the process and how it worked. And she went and talked to this energy guy. And then the energy guy called us. The guy who did the energy testing goes, how are you guys doing electron storms? And I was like, I don't do them. The guy who does them is up in Canada, and it's a proprietary process. He actually doesn't tell us how he does it. He just does it. And so when I told this guy that, he was like, well, how can I buy more of this barley? And we're the actually only people who sell the barley for this guy, because it's such a powerful product. When you start the barley, you actually have to take it in very small amounts. Joe, you did that, right? When you started the barley, you started in small scoops, right, bud?
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, I did kind of small, but I'm also a champ, and I just did a little bit more recommended because I really wanted it.
Well, that's understandable, because you're healthy. You've been working out. A lot of the times people who aren't over flooded with toxins, or who are able to process toxins faster, can move a little quicker. But I also don't.
Yeah, my metabolism is through the roof, man.
No, that's good. And if that's part of it too, if that's, your body better than me. I'm just giving you a warning. And what I'm saying is, if you do decide to go fast and it doesn't feel good, slow down. Because I've had people that have called me and said, hey, yeah, I started taking the big scoop, and in about 4 days, I felt like my belly was going to explode. I said, yeah, that's because you're releasing all these toxins from this SOD molecule. And the way it works is like,
it's clearing the gut biome, actually. So before I started really taking that Gladiator barley, I was already on kombuchas. I was already heavily into clearing my gut biome, and that was one of the things I was cleansing. I understood it. When I joined the military in 2011, I instantly had this trigger of knowledge that was like, hey, everything is flooding your and filling it with toxins like a neuroplasticity,
Yep.
neuroplasticity, and on that
Yeah.
type of level where like we're actually getting a artificial symbiotic layer of plastic and I would say live residue of foreign matter, whether that's lab made or other entities, I don't know, but there is some, we can see that there's foreign matter that's also symbiotic in our body that's not human. uh
Right.
so like there's this junk in all levels. And yeah, I was heavily on that gut biome. It's one of the important things about us. If we are what we eat, we think how our body feels. Like our body's gonna control our energy, how we think, what we say, how our emotions are, how well we're in touch with our spirit, and that stems from our gut biome. When we look at our gut, we have like so many millions of nerves connected straight to our brain, and then that's connected to our muscles, and probably connected to our pineal gland. So
Actually,
like,
Joe, while you're saying that, don't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to say one thing that I don't know if you know. You're right about the nerves being directly attached to our gut. Do you know that our neurotransmitters, the things that transmit the signals in our brain, are actually manufactured in our gut by those metabolic enzymes? And so if you have an off balance gut and you don't have a balanced bacteria and you're making neurotransmitters with the wrong bacterial balance, that causes mental problems like Alzheimer's. That causes things like mental issues, mental instability, chemical imbalances, because you're not creating and manufacturing your neurotransmitters, which are the thing that says, hey, this side of the brain talks to this side of the brain and it jumps across the synapse. These little neurotransmitters are made in your gut, and then they are transferred through those nerves you're talking about, up to your brain. And so when you transfer something that has been made in a bad environment with bad bacteria, too many bad bacterias, not enough good, why do you think there's so many mental health issues in America, bro?
yeah, we can definitely see it. That's what I've been heavily on. We can look at just the way the population is. We can even see in the commercials in the way that like these so there was this weird article I seen about one of the vegan makers, one of the Beyond Meat. He was actually
Mm-mm.
found eating someone's face on a highway, and then psychologically just had problems. And
That's
yeah,
crazy. I didn't
it's
hear about that.
oh, it was so weird. They tried to cover it up, but no, it was out there. One of the CEOs was found eating someone's face. It was like, what it's
Doing some
yeah,
studies on that.
artificiality.
You saw that? You saw that study about the Beyond Meat, how it's making our bodies like because it feels like meat and it looks like meat, but it doesn't have the same profile enzymatically and protein wise. So our body's expecting that, but then it's not getting it. So just like insulin resistance, right? Bodies are becoming resistant to real protein when they actually do get it.
Yeah, and we don't want to talk too much about other proteins like a spiked protein, but if we see that and just the way that it's being pushed through the society, we can see that on the other side, natural proteins is probably what they want us away from. If they're creating artificial proteins, then natural proteins are what they want to fight. And so yeah, our body definitely, we can see it in society. Muscle mass has gone down. Back in the day, people were just fit and ripped.
Oh yeah.
And then
They call that
nowadays,
farm strong, boy. You're farm strong. You're out there working. You're actually eating real food on a farm that you make and grow yourself. You cut the chicken's head off. You carry it in.
and the gym classes were real. They actually did push-ups. These
Yes!
these gym classes do push-ups with their phones. They're like, yeah, we're gaming. Yeah. Hey, so all right, let's continue back. We're going ahead and capping on society. We need to heal them. Let's heal these guys. So
yeah, so right, and one of the things too that we were kind of talking a little bit about, nutrition's great. That's the starting point, right? And then we were talking about elevating consciousness, right? And about the soul and the mind and body connection. So one of the things I was just basically going to bring up is that obviously health is really important. Taking supplements is important, but if you're under stress and anxiety, you're never going to actually be healthy. You could take all the supplements I sell, you could take all the supplements in the world, but if you have too much stress and anxiety, you're going to suffer because of a thing called cortisol. Cortisol is made by the adrenal gland, and that is what makes you feel on edge constantly. Not only does it do that, but it creates huge amounts of inflammation and toxins as it interacts in your body. It creates stuff that would literally burn through metal. Maybe not that bad, but it's bad for your body. And so when you have a mental issue, when you have strife or stress, it's actually taking the physical toll. And they talk about how people manifest things that happen to them psychologically, physically, right? And I've talked to a lot of people over the phone and in person who've had really, really horrible tragedies, really horrible things happen to them. And then all of a sudden their immune system turns on them, right? And they have rheumatoid arthritis, or they can't sleep, or their back starts to hurt and they have a degenerative disc disease, right? And before the car crash 10 years ago that killed their husband, the lady was fine. No problem whatsoever. But then the car crash happened. And then 3 years after the car crash, she started getting a degenerative disc disease that comes from an autoimmune disorder, right? So what is happening there is that's a tragedy that your mind hasn't really dealt with, right? And that's the problem a lot with America, right? Yeah, well, let's get you physically better. Let's get you to the hospital and repair your broken arm and, we'll fix that. But what about that trauma? That trauma is imprinted on your soul, right? That trauma doesn't heal like a bone. That trauma has to be dealt with from here. And when you don't deal with it from there, it will manifest itself even worse in your body, right? I've talked to people who have been to every holistic doctor in the world. They've traveled to India. They've taken every supplement known to man. They've had experimental surgeries, experimental things done to them just to try to get their health back. And really, they've never addressed their mind. They've never done a soul searching and actually thought, when did this happen? And was there some traumatic event that could have kicked it off? And I've probably had this conversation with 60 people that have tried the products. They don't work. My health isn't any better. I still can't sleep after taking your good night formula. And then that's when, as a company who actually gives a crap, we answer the phone and we talk to you and we say, well, okay, not that it works for every single person, but it works for a majority of people. So let's dig a little bit deeper here into what may be going on. And then I start talking to them about, so this disease that you're suffering with, how long have you had it? Oh, I've had it for like 15 years. Okay, well, what happened before? Were you healthy before? Were you born like premature? Do you have a genetic predisposition? Because sometimes it's genetic, right? Sometimes people's parents pass down bad genes and it gets expressed and people get cancer, right? That's what they want you to believe most of the time. But a lot of the times what ends up happening is you're really not able to function the way that you should, because your body isn't reproducing and repairing itself. So long story short, I'm getting a little bit long-winded here, but the mind controls the body. And if the mind isn't right, then the body can't be right. Okay. And that's where we kind of delve into the idea of tapping, right? Tapping is known as the emotional freedom technique. It's a way to reset your mindset. It's a way to replug in a new system or a set of beliefs that can actually help you to make progress in this area. Some people need a little bit more serious type of psychology called craniosacral therapy, where you actually have to be with a certified therapist that knows how to do craniosacral therapy. And what they actually do, and kind of not through hypnosis, but almost in a semi-hypnotic state, is take you back to the event that triggered this physical response, the psychosomatic response that you're dealing with. And in many cases, it takes a few sessions, but these people can kind of uncover or dig up that horrible memory, and without, as long as they're trained in it. Now, I've heard some people who weren't quite as well trained that get into this with people but can't complete it. So you want to make sure you find a craniosacral therapist who can actually go through the whole system. And there's a website called upledger.com where you can actually look up craniosacral therapists if this is something you guys need help with. But what you could do is you can look it up, and you want to get somebody who can actually uncover this for you if you're suffering with it. And that's something that we like to shed light on, because, yeah, of course, you know, supplements are something that we sell. But one of the things that we really kind of do is care about the people who call. And if there's anything we can do like that, that isn't even our product, it's just knowledge or a service, we're really skilled at that too. So it's just really cool. It's really cool that one of the things I have to say I get the most out of is hearing back from people, reading the reviews of people that I've talked to on the phone or that I've spoken through email or the chat, or online, or on TikTok or Facebook. We're on all those social media platforms. So the amount of people we come into contact with is large. And with a fairly small staff of about 13 people, you know, we handle it really well. Reason why we have those small staff is because they got to be specialized. They got to be trained. You know, we have one of our ladies who works there is a trained psychologist, Lucy. A lot of the people who you work with are nutritionally, you know, nutritionally knowledgeable, have owned nutritional stores. Gene, the 83-year-old guy who answers the phone, his own vitamin stores his whole life. So we're really here to just kind of give you guys support, number one, and some great products to get your health and your mind back right. So that's about all I got, Joe, man. I really don't have a lot more. Just wanted to jump on.
We appreciate this. So for all my viewers, we're gonna have a Rolly on. You know, every month we're gonna be just discussing some topics, some health topics, some spiritual topics. You know, in a time of confusion for the whole world, it's much needed that we find a balance that's not necessarily imaginary and just like fluff, where, like, you know, we go out to the movies and we get that balance. We're like, hey, we're just relaxing, we want to watch a movie. No, like, this is some real spiritual stuff that, you know, you can find truth with, find answers, find love, and you know, on the biological level, we can actually resonate to our natural essence. And we look at the world, and literally they want to just deject the humanity from ourselves in DNA form. They want to just take apart who we are at the cellular level. And we look at Hollywood, they want to take apart our spiritual love, our spiritual wealth, you know, intuitional, motivational side. That, you know, they want to just destroy it and flood it with darkness, absence, you know, hate, violence. And when we need answers, it starts with us. It starts with the way we think. It starts with the way we eat. It starts with what we hear, the people we have around, what we tell ourselves is fine throughout our day. Like, don't go through your day with a negative attitude and eating just like what you know is deep fried junk. Like, there's no denying it. There's this sugary junk, you know, the drinks. Don't deny it. Those nasty words, you know, in your head. Don't fall for it. Don't, you know, like,
Right.
Don't fall for any of that. Don't fall for any of the dark foods. Don't fall for any of the dark words in your mind. It starts with you. And hey, Rolly right here, me and you, we're a nice team. This is great. Our viewers are going to be able to go ahead and feel the love and be able to, on a cellular level, heal with the love of the food.
Exactly.
You know, I imagine that barley grower grows with love. I don't think that he grows with hate. You know?
No, actually, his name is Ken. I can't give you his full name, but
that's okay.
His name is Ken, and I actually talked to him on the phone a couple times. He's a real hard man to get a hold of. He actually goes to other countries that can't grow crops, like dry, arid places like the desert, and he's contracted by governments over there to help them learn how to grow crops in the desert, how to germinate seeds. And that's actually what he does, right? But this barley venture that he's created is actually a business that he created from all that knowledge as he has traveled the world and learned and done all this. So yeah, he is extremely spiritual, man. He actually, one of the catchphrases that he came up was awaken a new spiritual side of your life. That's one of the catchphrases he came up with as he created this. And the process that he uses that we use with our barley is called beyond organic, right? So it's beyond organic. He doesn't even, he's not even, he's using things that are old school, and he's going back to the light. He's not using any of that dark resonance.
That's important to know. If we look at a growing aspect, when we grow with that ancient knowledge of light and higher dimensionality, the spiritual factor, it's powerful. We know that in South America they're building on the terraces, in China they're building on terraces, and in Egypt and different places around the world, in these highly spiritual places, they were growing amazing food.
Right.
And it starts with you, it starts with us. Hey, is there anything more for my viewers? We're sitting at about an hour here. We could take a break. Well, you want to call it a day, we call it a day. Hey, it's been awesome. And if you want, what do you want to do?
I'm good. I'm actually, to be honest with you, I actually have to jump on a little TikTok thing. I got to jump on a TikTok here around 8:15. So I'm a little bit behind, but I can hang out if you want.
No, it's all right. Let's go ahead and schedule for a month out again. And we just wanted to go ahead and let my viewers onto some amazing talks about health and well-being. Hey, go ahead and let my viewers know where they can find you and where they can find your company.
Absolutely, guys. Listen, first, I just want to say, sorry if I was long-winded. Thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about the products, I actually am a co-host of a podcast. It's called Live Forever Young Radio. But you can just go to boomerboost.com. Boomerboost.com is the website where you can find the products. There's also a tab there that says Live Forever Young Radio, or LFYR podcasts. We've got over 64 different podcasts right now. We just put a brand new one up about why your immune system is weaker when it's cold outside, right? So it's the time of season. If you guys want to learn some tips to stay healthy and not catch that flu, not have to take the poison to, make yourself feel better that they're pushing, go check that out. And then one of the things that I also wanted to say is right now we have our Black Friday sale still going on. Every product that we have is basically 50% off. And if you find a promo code somewhere worth 10, 20, 30% off, you're welcome to.
Yeah, go ahead and use my coupon code 509DIVINE, 20% off that order.
Yeah, I wanted you to drop it. Do it again. You did it. You beeped out when you said it. 509. Tell them again.
Yeah, go ahead and use coupon code 509Divine Pines over at boomerboost.com for 20% off the order on top of the 50% Black Friday Cyber Monday sale.
Yeah, like you can get the Boomer Boost and Boomer Barley in an intro pack. Like I was telling you, normally it's about $130. It comes with a shaker bottle. It's only $75. No, it's only $52 right now. 52. That's less than the price of one of the products. Plus you get a shaker bottle, instruction booklet, starter scoops, and you'll start feeling and looking a lot more like Joe, which isn't a bad thing.
Hey, that's what everyone says, man. They're like, dude, you kick back the clocks. You don't look 29. They're like, all right, dude, what do you want? I want it. And give it to me now. Hey,
yeah.
It's been a blessing, man. Hey, you go ahead and enjoy December. I'll go ahead and talk to you probably later at the end of the month in December. And happy holidays.
Absolutely, man. I will definitely talk to you. We'll get up a little bit. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of call before Christmas, and then we'll get together right around the 30th or something, right around the same time next month. I look forward to it. I'll have some more new stuff. I'll do some digging. I'll find some cool stats, facts, things you guys need to know in order to stay healthy in this day and age, because it's a jungle out there.
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and know about that. And what is it? NAD plus that you guys are working on, and maybe something about working on, if you guys got access to the sprouted barley, working on a compost tea. Do you guys know about JLF and turning some of the extra sprouts into a sprout tea?
Well, you know what he has, you know what he does have. So one of the products we carry is lignans, and lignans are flax hulls, but tumbled, and on them, on the outside of the seeds is wax, and that wax falls off. And he's got all these lignans, all these flax seeds that still have nutritional value, but they don't have the flax hulls on them. So he's looking at a way to do a cold press machine, right? And so that's not a bad idea. What you're saying, maybe kind of using lignans with all that beneficial, health benefits. They're good fats. They have a lot of polyphenols and antioxidants. Maybe, hey, make us a
fertilizer.
Yeah. Oh, well, he already uses a lot of it as fertilizer. That's part of what. So that's part of his whole Beyond Organic thing is he doesn't waste anything on his farm. Everything is reused for something.
Yeah, this is amazing stuff. I've been getting into a lot of this organic growing, and hey, we'll go ahead and talk more. Let me know how it goes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless. You have a wonderful day.
509, baby.
Let's go ahead and run this commercial right here.
Be good.
Peace. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and run a commercial and then see what's good. All right.
Not new, what I do. I've been at it for a minute, pursuing, doing the damage. New, I would do everything that I said I would do. I gotta have it, so goddamn it, I'ma be everything I plan to be. Glad to see money coming my way, believe I'll achieve anything I put my mind to, or at least I try to. I'm avoiding my doom, manifesting my room. Meditate to ease the flow. Third eye open, see the goal, the energy. It can enter me, get me to feeling full. Forget my enemies, dead to me, yeah, I proceed to go to a new dimension. Gotta mention it's inside our soul. Go inside, fuck the outside. Never tell lies, show pride for belief. Gotta keep the range wide, so instead I just write another hit. Getting fried, rolling up, smoke another blunt for the good times. Good times, bad times makes for the good rhymes. So it never matters, I just learned, no I can't hide. Thank God for every second was birthed with the mind of an ancient soul who's just waiting for the next sign. I'm always watching, vision like a hawk, have 'em flocking. When I drop it, I'm talking, have 'em knocking. The knowledge that I'm dropping, I'm coming out the noggin, I'm logged in. That's the intuition, nothing wrong with doing what you feel is right. Everybody got this. Usually feel it in the night when I'm dropping knowledge. Never even needed any college. Abolish people telling people what they want. I do not wish control over anybody. Do it for the profit. That's the reason that they push it. Do it from the cockpit. Cause they got the money, want the money on the mob shit. On the mob shit. But I know they ain't gon' make it. Shit is poppin'. At the end of time, new age topics. Revolutionary crusade cross. Here we go to a new space. Yeah, we enter in a new place. Louis V on my shoelace, rolling with the blue face. Yeah, I'm wondering what you chase. Just another dude caught up in the rat race. Moving my pace, lot of people looking at me sideways. I chase future preparations, gotta go through my phase till I feel ready to rearrange it. Happen on a daily basis, tripping oasis. When so many people that I can't see through their faces and touch, so I'm reading minds, feel like I'm evasive, persuasive. Cause I feel the vibe, manipulation, I'm patient. Yeah, I feel the vibe, then work to change it. Manifestation, blessings is what I'm chasing. Quantum physics, I'm about to take the time and rearrange it. I play with reality, can't feel like I'm basic. Most people shut it down, don't wanna embrace it. Replacing knowledge. Gonna go far, that's what we on the run for, go hard. Sipping gin while we sitting, spitting those bars. Getting rich, got a vision, get the show cards. Lot of money laying around cause we go hard, always go hard. Spitting fire, see the sonar. Hope they resonate with the vibe. Feel like Mozart. Really, I'm alive and my soul feel like Mozart. That's what hoes are. Too explosive, so I show art. Yeah, I make art. Sad to see people with no heart. I work to replace all of the negative. I go far with it. I'ma show all of these bitches no complaining. If you with it, don't you dream me? See the vision, need my energy, the mission. Really take all my precision. Every single day I picture where I'll be the day we get it. Feed the brothers, feed the fam. I don't really give a damn. I don't wanna get famous. I wanna lend a hand. Give the cash and rubber bands to the people always standing on my side, always down the ride. Say I planned it. I'm the guy, life is supersized on the planet. In my mind, I don't gotta try, I already have it. I'll be doing damage. I was born a savage. In my mind, I already died, living lavish. Heaven is a state of mind. Be glad if you have it. Living in a simulation, be patient to grab it. Universe will bring it to you if you ain't an average. If you live an average, then Satan's bound to manage your life. I'm just trying to tell you if you gonna roll the dice, gamble in your life instead of living precise. I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna earn it. No, it don't concern anybody but my person. Lesson that I learned is that people are gonna burn. Anything you do, they gonna pay the price. Nothing nice come in life for the dipshits. They just wish shit, never gonna manifest it. Never catch me resting, short-term blessings. I just want my brain to work so I can write my next hit. Ignite the blessings, manifest my life, never question a moment in my life. I be knowing that it's meant to be, this my destiny. All the rest of my life really history. The day that I'm finally gone, they'll be missing me. Your position be the reason that I'm gone. 200 songs done, I've been on the run. I ride a wave, make a way, I'm the one. I stay the same, but I'm changing a ton. Rearranging my brain for the gains through the sun. I've been absorbing the light, I could say that I won. At least I'm conscious of what I'm doing, praying a ton. Relay all the information, staying patient with the shit. I write a hit just to get through all the shit. I ain't a bitch, so I'll make it. I ain't dealing with a prick, I'm finna take over the game. Really, I'm getting in, I'm really glad that you're here to witness it. I'm about to fix entire rap game. You could call it magic like a trick. Classic with the way I spit it. They be clapping when it hits. I be snapping on this shit. I've been rapping, feeling lit. I'm
Yo, hello, how we doing over there? Hey, I got some news so I like to go ahead and kick you off some cannabis topics for the first part, right? You know, a little bit of cannabis news. And so I'm just going to show you how cannabis and those nice hops that make beer were once related. About 17 million years ago, science says, it's estimated that some 27 million years ago, Humulus lupulus and Cannabis sativa were the same plant. Now, the two are distinct species with different connotations, different commercial uses, and most obviously different laws regulating their use. But if you've been paying attention to what's been going on in the alcohol industry lately, you probably noticed that the two plants are coming together again, only this time in a beer can. In light of all the hype, there's no better time now to take a brief look back at the rise of weed beer. March 2005, Lagunitas is rated by California's Alcohol Beverage Control. What's classified as non-traditional wasn't even really set in stone until the Germans popularized their Beer Purity Act in the 1500s. There are plenty of reasons to believe that home brewers were putting cannabis in their beer for decades. Well, we actually know that cannabis in wine is a huge thing. If you look at some of the ancient cultures, they would drink this wine, cannabis-infused wine, and it's pretty serious. It gets you very good. It provides amazing health benefits. Both of the cannabis and wine together provides superior health benefits. In 2005, California's Alcohol Beverage Control Agency rated the brewery Lagunitas. More than a few people were smoking joints on the premises, including Ron Lyndon Bush, one of the brewery's first employees. As Ron lit one of the said joints, an ABC agent slapped him in cuffs, and a horde of police. The brewery is forced to close its doors for 20 days due to operating a disorderly house. To commemorate the sting, Lagunitas released undercover investigation shut down ale. It wasn't a weed beer per se, but it was definitely inspired by marijuana. Yeah, that's funny. I ain't gonna lie. In September 2015, Dad and Dudes Brewery released the first commercial brew with CBD. Hey! In 2015, the Aurora, Colorado brewery publicly debuted their first two commercial CBD beers, Sativa IPA and Indica Double IPA. Both had a short run at the brewery, but the real splash came in September at the Great American Beer Festival. Dad and Dudes previously made a beer without any cannabis product called Dank. Sativa and Indica were more direct in the start of the planned cannabis series. I think beer and cannabis should be treated equally, he said. Well, yeah, if they were one of the same plant, then you can see they should be on some equal level too. In April 2016, Wiz Khalifa files a cannabis beer patent. Interesting. I never heard about this. The trademark protects weed-themed CBD beers, so I guess juices, carbonated drinks, non-alcoholic cocktails under the Khalifa Kush brand name. Interesting. So he has the brand, but he never released it. In November 2016, Coalition Brewing announced Oregon's first commercial CBD beer. Awesome. The following year, Coalition turned its CBD beers into a full-on series. The following beers, Two Flowers IPAs and Herbs of a Feather, were limited releases, limited but inspired. Coalition's regional beer ambassador Phil Boyle. Inspiration came from a party in September 2016 after a THC infused dinner where they ate something like 2,500 milligrams of THC. Sheesh! That's a heavy dose. That's a hero's dose, what they call that. April 2017, San Francisco's Black Hammer Brewing released a CBD-infused IPA called Tokeback Mountain. At 4:20 p.m. on 4/20, Black Hammer Brewing released its first CBD beer. It was the first cannabis beer commercial released in California and had 5 milligrams of CBD and a non-THC distillate of branded Hindu Kush per 10-ounce beer. The cannabis distillate added flavor without making the beer illegal, of course. That didn't stop regulators from stepping in. Haters. August 2017, Long Trail Brewing announces Vermont's first CBD beer. Sweet. In August 2017, the brewery announced it was working on a yet-to-be-named beer with Citra and Mosaic hops, as well as a 2030 mg of CBD from organic hemp. It was named Medicator and hit the public in 2017. Man, so we see it's all across the board. It's everywhere, man. People love cannabis and beer combined. In March 2018, Down the Road Beer Co. asked to brew CBD beer in Massachusetts, and it's promptly denied. Blue Moon founder Keith Vanilla announces a new cannabis beer company. Keith Villa retired from Miller's Coors in January 5th, 2018. The Blue Moon inventor has been with the company for 32 years, but there was something different on his mind. 3 months after his retirement, he created a new company called Saria Beverages. It is headquartered in Denver and will focus on non-alcoholic cannabis-infused craft beer. The beers will contain THC. CBD is not the component that most consumers are looking for. It certainly has merits, but the THC is what gives people that buzz, which is similar to the alcohol buzz that people get from beer, spirits, and wine. A lot of consumers of cannabis look for that buzz. Saria Beverages will sell 3 beers, a light beer with 6 milligrams of THC, a regular beer with 10 milligrams of THC, and a full-bodied beer with 15 milligrams of THC. If I was that company, I would be drinking those things all day. Jeez, man, that sounds great. In April 2018, Florida breweries are forced to stop selling beer with any cannabis terpenes. 2 days before 420, the TTB sent letters to 2 Florida breweries, Invasive Species Brewing and Devour Brewing, blocking beer with any sort of cannabis oil, even without THC and CBD. Weak. Haters. May 2018, New Belgium releases its first hemp beer, the Hemperor. I think I actually smoked that. I think I actually drank that. I can't smoke the beer. Yo, I think I actually drank the beer. My fucking fault, guys. Yo. All right. So the Hemperor. Hey, it's pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. New Belgium entered the market. Hemperor. As the name hints, brewed with hemp, almost the entire plant, in fact. But thanks to the New Belgium's wide distribution, it decided against making a beer that contains THC or CBD. The beer took 3 years to make it to the market. Nice. June 2018, the U.S. gets its first THC and CBD infused craft beer. Cannabinoids, a California-based edibles company, announced in June 2018 that it was working on a line of THC and CBD brews called Two Roots Brewing Co. The company became the first THC and CBD filled beers on the market with a larger stout, West Coast IPA, blonde ale, and wheat beer. The beers allegedly function like the best form of microdosing, with an onset of around 10 minutes and a high that wears off in around 2 hours. It's sold in California and Nevada. Lagunitas announces non-alcoholic THC beer. It was the second company, the company which owned by Heineken, released two non-alcoholic THC beers called Hi-Fi Hops. Ooh. It was made a THC-filled hoppy sparkling water, and it had 5 milligrams of THC, 5 milligrams of CBD, and a version with 10 milligrams of CBD or 10 milligrams of THC and no CBD. It essentially capitalizes on two hot topics right now: hard sparkling water and weed beer. Interesting. I did not know Heineken made a weed beer. That's cool. July 2018, a Camden brewery announces the country's first THC beer. Nice. In 2019, the country will legalize edibles. Province brand in Toronto is ready. The brand has been working on a beer with 6.5 milligrams of THC and thinks it's nailed a recipe after the first iterations tasted like rotten broccoli. Ew. I actually had good broccoli today. I didn't have no rotten broccoli. So that one hits home. I would not want that rotten broccoli in my stomach today or in my beer ever. The beer hits you very quickly, which is not common for a marijuana edible. So if you're ever in Toronto, look for this beer by Province Brands. August 2018, Molson Coors announces a joint venture with Canadian cannabis company, the Hydropothery Corporation. The big boys finally get the cannabis beer game, while craft brewers of the way, America's largest beer companies like AB, InBev, and Constellation Brands shied away from straight up putting cannabis in beer. Constellation invested $191 million in marijuana company in 2017, but didn't go as far as to combine the beer and its cannabis together. The world's largest brewers admit that cannabis sales will increase in the future, but refuse to make money moves on THC or CBD beer. Then came Molson Coors. Molson Coors and Hydropothery Corporation agreed to make non-alcoholic weed beer that's yet to have an official release date. It will be a standalone venture, but the beer company will keep controlling interest. October 2018. Predictions for beer with cannabis start skyrocket. I've actually been thinking about finding a wine person and making my own cannabis beer. I might go ahead and do that, guys. Hey, so let's go ahead and run off into some science news and wrap this thing up. All right, scientists think they have found a portal to the fifth dimension, written in June 23rd, 2021. The facts: a new study claims to have found an explanation for dark matter, which relies on the discovery of a particle which leads to another dimension. Something to reflect on. How do discoveries shift our understanding of reality and perhaps who we are? Can a journey down the rabbit hole of non-material science cause understanding of nature, of human consciousness that can shift how we live our lives? In a new study, the European Physical Journal C, scientists are proposing the particle that can act as a portal to the fifth dimension. What exactly is the fifth dimension? Good question. Let's start with what we know about dimensions. To scientists, there's been 4 known dimensions in our universe, 3 that make up space, up and down, left and right, back and forth. This gives you 3D and a fourth dimension of time. To understand the fifth dimension, we have to begin looking into dark matter, which is what scientists believe make up most of the mass in our universe. Dark matter happens to be something we don't know too much about as well. We technically can't see it, and so scientists measure what effects its mass has on other observable matter. In the most recent study, the authors Adrian Carmona, Javier Castellano Ruiz, Matthias Newbert said their original intention was to explain the possible origin of fermion particle masses and theories with warped extra dimensions. They sketched out a new scalar associated with the fermion, which claim is similar to the Higgs field and Higgs boson particle. We found that the new scalar field had an interesting non-trivial behavior along the extra dimension. The researchers told Vice if this heavy particle exists, it would necessarily connect the visible matter that we know and that would have studied in detail with the constituents of dark matter, assuming the dark matter is composed out of fundamental fermions which live in the extra dimension. In simpler terms, this new study suggests that the particle in question may be able to provide a greater explanation for dark matter. The more we know about dark matter, the more we understand about the finer workings of our unseen universe. The authors described the particle as a possible new messenger to the dark sector. The hard working is just beginning. Scientists have now are focusing. Scientists have to now focus on this particle and isolate it. The Higgs boson particle mentioned above was spotted by the Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest and most powerful accelerator. However, it is not powerful enough to find this new particle, and thus a new device would have to be created. What intrigued me about the story was one of the statements physicists made about the new study, which thus the new device would have to be created. What intrigued me about this story was one of the statements physicists made about the new study. They wrote, exploring the potential dimension. This particle could play an important role in the cosmological history of the universe. It's always been my fascination to explore the deeper perennial questions that make up our current collective paradigms. As we understand more about the nature of reality, the cosmos, and our relationship to it, we in essence are developing a greater understanding of who we are. My research over the years has taught me that many of the mainstream assumptions is to make about ourselves and our world is likely false. Things that our consciousness originates in the brain, and our consciousness cannot affect things non-locally, and that universe is random and human consciousness cannot impact it. From the many studies I've read exploring these subjects, the basic assumptions of modern materialistic science simply don't hold water when considering hundreds of studies telling a different story. When you consider the paradigm shift that comes into realizing that our human consciousness may in fact have the ability to affect things non-locally, something seen through hundreds of intention experiments rigorously studied around the world, one has to think, what is the true nature of our reality and who we are? Are we a lot more extraordinary than we have been led to believe? Do our thoughts, intentions, and emotions have a greater impact on our lives than we realize? How might these changes in understanding who we are shift the way we live our lives? Next, this was written November 30th, 2022. Scientists build baby wormhole as sci-fi moves closer to fact. Scientists have long pursued a deeper understanding of wormholes and now appear to be making progress. Researchers announced on Wednesday they have forged 2 minuscule simulated black holes, those extraordinarily dense celestial objects with gravity so powerful that not even light can escape, in a quantum computer, and transmitted a message between them through what amounted to a tunnel in space-time. It was a baby wormhole. according to a Caltech physicist, Maria Spiralopoulou. Experimentally, for me, I will tell you it is very, very far away. People come to me and they ask me, can you put your dog in the wormhole? So, no. Spiralopoulou told reporters during a video briefing, that's a huge leap. There's a difference between something being possible in principle and possible in reality. So don't hold your breath about sending your dog along through the wormhole, but you have to start somewhere. And I think, to me, it's just exciting that we're able to get our hands on this at all. The researchers observed the wormhole dynamics in a quantum device at Alphabet's Google called the Sycamore Quantum Processor. A wormhole, a rupture in space and time, is considered a bridge between two remote regions in the universe. Scientists referred to them as Einstein-Rosen bridges after the two physicists were described them, Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen. Such wormholes are consistent with Einstein's theory of general relativity, which focuses on gravity, one of the fundamental forces of nature. The term wormhole was coined by physicist John Wheeler in the 1950s. Spiralopoulou said the researchers found a quantum system that exhibits key properties of gravitational wormhole, but was small enough to implement on existing quantum hardware. It looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. So at this point that we have something in terms of properties to look at, it looks like a wormhole. Interesting. The researcher said no rupture of space and time was created in physical space in the experiment through a transversal wormhole appears to have emerged based on quantum information teleported using quantum codes and on the quantum processor. These ideas have been around for a long time and they are very powerful ideas. But in the end, we're in experimental science and we have been struggling now for a very long time to find a way to explore these ideas in the laboratory. And that's what really exciting about this. It's not just, well, wormholes are cool. This is a way to actually look into the fundamental problems of our universe in a laboratory setting. Next up, we have scientists found a large-scale structure lurking behind the Milky Way. Written on November 8th, November 2022. Scientists from Argentina's National University of San Juan say they discovered a large-scale structure in a largely unseen part of the Milky Way galaxy, according to the new preprint paper published by the ARXIV. That's a gang server late last month. It's been submitted to the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics, but it has not been peer reviewed. To be clear, the structure here is not any kind of human-made object. Rather, it's a newfound galaxy cluster that's been hiding out behind the Milky Way. Given how hard it is to observe other objects through the Milky Way, it's exciting that researchers were able to observe this galaxy cluster at all. What's going on across the galaxy from us, and why is it such a mystery over there? Looking through the Milky Way, we can start with a simple thought exercise. You exist on Earth and therefore are in some location, right? So from where you live, what do you see beyond Earth? I'm not talking about the open sky above Earth in your location. Instead, imagine if you were able to see through the land and sea and magma on the other side. The same is true on humankind here on Earth, trying to look through the Milky Way galaxy and what lies beyond. The area of obscurity created by the Milky Way itself is called the zone of avoidance. But isn't the galaxy mostly empty space? You could look through quite a bit of our local system in that sense, but there are two complicating factors. The first is the physicality of the Milky Way, which is a kind of like this huge over easy egg Earth placed on one far end of the white. Yes, the space in the white might be mostly empty, but have you ever tried to look through a window from the edge instead of the face? It's super distorted and may not even be usable because even something clear has flaws that visually accumulates when you look at it in the long way. If you look at a large fish tank, it's easy to see through the wide, shallow front view to the wall behind, but it's harder to see if you look through the ends. This effect is called attenuation. Mediums like water and glass obscure the pass through of light over a long enough distance, and then you have to add the galactic clutter of planets and stars and particulate, all of which may add up to a hazy view of the clearer portions of the Milky Way. Moreover, the center of the Milky Way is a supermassive black hole that's millions of times the size of our sun, and millions other stars orbit it, forming a tight, glittery cluster that's even more difficult to see through. The zone of avoidance. So what we've tackled makes the shadows, but what about the light itself? Extragalactic background light is a term of a special kind of light pollution that happens in outer space. Because the universe is almost infinitely enormous and expanding all the time, the light that the stars generate stays in the mix virtually forever. Think of the long exposure photo, especially the kind that your phone might suggest taking in night mode. Light lingers and creates new illumination as it travels. The light bounces into almost entirety, heightening the shadows that non-luminous physical barriers in the galaxy, like planets and dust, create between the luminous objects that obscure what's behind them. A supermassive black hole that obscures what's behind it, and the countless objects and speckles that obscure what's behind them and cast shadows. The scrambling effect is better than ever to best fool our facial recognition pattern mask. The area creates a zone of avoidance, and it covers about 20% of the sky from the Earth. It prevents us from seeing into much of the Milky Way in detail, as well as everything that lies behind and beyond it, like a pie slice that flares out when you look further away to the point inside of the Milky Way. Real life isn't like the 2008 superhero movie Wanted, wherein people who want it bad enough can make bullets curve through the air. Scientists have spent centuries wondering how they can look through the zone of avoidance in some way. On Earth, seeing your blind spot in a car might be easy as looking over your shoulder while you change lanes on the highway, but there wasn't a good way to do that in space. Scientists have had to develop new entire ways to see through the physical and platonic clutter. Over time, they realized that if they shifted the spectrum of light at play from visible spectrum to the infrared zone, the Milky Way was a lot easier to explore and survey with our broad selection of remote instruments. So they took a long time to say something easy as that. These guys are really pulling the story to as long as they can. In the wake of the discovery, different instruments have scoped the Milky Way using infrared bandwidths for 40 years now, starting with the IRAS survey in 1983. Scientists have also explored using X-rays and radio waves. Until now, though, most survey behaviors have focused on identifying and counting galaxies or clusters in an effort to simply observe that they exist. What if this 20% of area in the sky is a structure that takes up the entire shadow region, like a villain in a cartoon? Yes, that sounds ridiculous, but we haven't known enough to roll it out. In this research, scientists took it to the next level by nullifying the effects of the zone of avoidance in order to find the similarly dense region outside the Milky Way that is hidden within the zone. Researchers were able to spot this cluster within ZOA using the VVV survey, a project that scans the Milky Way bulge at infrared wavelengths using the European Southern Observatory's Visible and Infrared Survey Telescope for Astronomy in Paranal, Chile. To zoom in on the tantalizing region, the researchers used a near-infrared infrastructure called Flamingos-2, which is on the Gemini South Telescope in Chile. The results explore new details about 5 galaxies some 3 billion light years away, which the researchers think is just much part of a bigger cluster. What they found is an extragalactic structure, which means an object or a collection of objects that exist in the Milky Way galaxy. In analyzing the overdense region, they chose to focus on this for study. The scientists were able to show it has many of the same qualities as other galaxy clusters we know. They're able to observe and use a thing like redshift, tracking what is visible in the infrared spectrum and then back calculating its likely presence in the visible spectrum in order to draw an overall impression of this dense area outside the galaxy. The impression of redshifts obtained from 3 different methods and obtained cluster perimeters allowed to confirm the nature of the structure as a galaxy cluster, unveiling a new extragalactic system that was hidden behind the Milky Way bulge. So, all right, in short, these researchers have found something very close to home. They don't know what it is. They don't know how big it is, really. But they can tell that there is something a lot closer to home, a structure or some galaxies that in in reference would be just about the other town away. Like, they have now discovered something just on the other side of, the boundary, our town boundary. They're like, hey, wait, hold on. There's a brand new town over there. There's a brand new town in between this town and our town. Hold on. Wait a minute. And so, but they're also thinking is that it has life, probably. I'm assuming that's what like there's something very important being revealed soon. I'm guessing they're gonna find out what this is within the next 5 years, 10 years, and it's gonna be very important because the way this is described, large scale structure lurking behind the Milky Way. That's very, very peculiar. The people have been speculating stuff like that for a long time. That there's stuff right out of our boundaries. Even that, yeah, there's a lot. Now, here's some more news. The nation's first nuclear-powered clean hydrogen production announced a first for nuclear and hydrogen. A 9-Mile Point generation station, the oldest operating U.S. nuclear power plant, will soon house the nation's first nuclear-powered clean hydrogen production facility. This hydrogen fuel cell project is currently being designed, and it is expected to begin production by the end of the year and be operational in 2025. 9-Mile Point, located in Oswego, New York, went online in 1969. Can produce up to 1,907 megawatts of zero-emission energy, enough to carbon-free electricity to power more than 2 million homes. The progress of the hydrogen production project was announced in September by leaders from the U.S. Department of Energy, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA, New York State Public Service Commission, and Constellation Energy Corporation. Hydrogen fuel cells can produce electricity with only water vapor as a byproduct, making them a clean source of reliable backup energy to power the grid. When produced on a large scale, clean hydrogen can work towards decarbonizing industries like aviation, long fuel freight, steel making, and agriculture. In order to meet the increasing global demand for hydrogen, the U.S. Department of Energy is looking for ways to scale up hydrogen production, including nuclear. Nuclear power plants can produce hydrogen in a variety of methods, taking advantage of constant thermal energy and electricity it provides. As Joe Dominguez, president of the CEO of Constellation Energy, described, clean hydrogen is an essential tool in addressing the climate crisis. In a few short months, we will demonstrate to the world how essential carbon-free nuclear energy is to unlock its potential. So here's a graph, and all right, what we're looking at is hydrogen cell, its power generation to electricity, and we can then refeed that to hydrogen. The electricity can be turned into conventional storage and conventional electricity. It can be used for more renewables. It can be hold on. I got that. It cannot be used for the renewables and nuclear. Sorry, those are two different types. Sorry. So it can be used for electricity, which we can use for conventional electricity. All right. It can be used for heating. It can be used to help the gas infrastructure. It can be used for metal refinings. It can be used for ammonia and fertilizer, upgrading oil and biomass, synthetic fuels, hydrogen vehicles, other uses as well. So it is a renewable resource. Very powerful. I know water has been a huge topic from me and my podcast in November. We've had two amazing guests on over from Natural Action Technologies and Eagle Dash Research, both sponsors of our show. Go ahead and use coupon code 509 Divine Pines over at Eagle Dash Research for a hydrogen healing system that you can use to benefit your body. You can breathe in the gas that it produces to really benefit your body. Reverse all of your problems and thank me later, man, that you can get 20% off your order from using coupon code 509 Divine Pines over at eagle-research.com. As the nation's first nuclear-powered clean hydrogen and production facility, 9 Mile Point will demonstrate the viability of hydrogen electrolyzer and fuel cell technologies. Hey, guys, I got to use the restroom. I'm going to go ahead and be right back in 1 minute. Let me go ahead and run another song.
Gonna go far, that's what we on the run for, go hard. Sipping gin while we sitting, spitting those bars. Getting rich, got a vision, get the show cards. Lot of money laying around cause we go hard, always go hard. Spitting fire, see the sonar, hope they resonate with the vibe. Feel like Mozart, really I'm alive in my soul, feel like Mozart. That's what hoes are, too explosive so I show art. Yeah, I make art, sad to see people with no heart. I work to replace all of the negative, I go far with it. I'ma show all of these bitches, no complaining if you with it. Don't you dream me, see the vision, need my energy, the mission. Really take all my precision, every single day I picture where I'll be the day we get it. Feed the brothers, feed the fam, I don't really give a damn. I don't wanna get famous, I wanna lend a hand. Give the cash and rubber bands to the people always standing on my side, always down the ride, say I planned it. I'm the guy, like the supersized on the planet. In my mind, I don't gotta try, I already have it. I'll be doing damage, I was born a savage. In my mind, I already died, living lavish. Heaven is a state of mind, be glad if you have it. Living in a simulation, be patient to grab it. Universe will bring it to you if you ain't an average. If you live an average, then Satan's bound to manage your life. I'm just trying to tell you, if you gonna roll the dice, gamble in your life instead of living precise. I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna earn it. No, it don't concern anybody but my person. Lesson that I learned is that people are gonna burn. Anything you do, they gonna pay the price. Nothing nice come in life for the dipshits. They just wish shit, never gonna manifest it. Never catch me resting, short-term blessings. I just want my brain to work so I can write my next hit. Ignite.
All right, I'm back. Okay. Woo! All right, so this hydrogen plant is awesome. This is good for our future, man. I'll be honest. I'm big into clean water, and the better we use water, the better our planet will be. And I don't know about this one, boss, but look, this is crazy. Recently, scientists are asking if DNA may be the key to unlocking fusion power. The ultimate planet-saving technology has to be fusion power. You can find its fuel, hydrogen, and water. It can create vast amounts of energy from only a few kilograms of fuel. It produces no carbon emissions, makes virtually no radioactive waste, and is a reliable on-tap energy source. Humanity could turn itself around with such a powerful and environmentally harmonious energy supply, in that we could stop climate change and still live our comfortable, energy-heavy modern lives. Yet we have struggled to crack this elusive technology due to the fact that it still takes more energy to run fusion reactions than we can extract from them. So this revolutionary tech still remains a pipe dream. Unfortunately, a recent advancement with DNA could be the key to unlocking this planet-saving technology. But what is this breakthrough discovery? How can it revolutionize fusion power? And when will we see tangible results from it? Let's start with the breakthrough. Scientists from the University of Virginia School of Medicine have used DNA to construct carbon nanotube lattices for the first time. Now there's a lot to break down here, so let me explain. Carbon nanotubes are effectively nanometer wide straw built from graphene. This means that a layer of carbon atoms is a single atom thick is rolled up and joint together to form a tube. Carbon is already a very useful element. After all, it is the basis for living organisms, but graphene and carbon nanotubes have the potential to have incredible applications. They are lighter and stronger than our greatest material and have a unique electrical conductive properties that have made them incredibly valuable for electrical engineers. In fact, their properties have been touted as being able to unlock spectacular technologies such as space elevators, quantum computers, hyper efficient energy grids, and even vastly improved fusion reactors. But it is incredibly difficult to build them. Even when we do, the imprecision of our technology means that they are produced sporadically and with different lengths, widths, orientations, one another. Such chaotic materials are useless for any serious application. This means carbon nanotube technology is still very much in its infancy. But biological proteins like DNA have evolved over to manipulate and construct complex carbon structures at the molecular level. For a long time, scientists suspected that they could use custom strands of DNA to act as molecular factories and construct the complex carbon nanostructures needed for these technologies, but struggled to do so. It is hard to make custom DNA strands and even harder to make them do what you intended. However, scientists at the University of Virginia School of Medicine have finally made a breakthrough and successfully used DNA to build carbon nanotubes. To be clear, they just weren't any old carbon nanotubes. They were carbon nanotube lattices, which are particularly interesting in electrical to electrical engineers and nuclear fission projects because they are high temperature superconductors. Again, let me explain. A superconductor is a material that has zero electrical resistance, a feat that in technological terms is very hard to achieve. You see, electrical resistance comes from electrons bumping into the conductor's atoms and imparting some type of kinetic energy into the atom, which then heats the conductor up and slows down the electron and the flow of electricity. So to get to zero, the conductor atoms must be moved out of the way. One way we can do this is by supercooling certain types of conductors. This stops the conductor atoms' chaotic motion due to the very low temperature and allows them to line up a crystalline lattice-like structure. Within this structure, they are open to channels where the electrons can move freely without bumping into an atom, giving the materials zero electrical resistance. Now, having zero electrical resistance is hugely useful. It means we can construct super efficient circuits, incredibly powerful electromagnets, and even build quantum computers. But it takes a massive amount of energy to get cold enough to work, making their applications inefficient and immensely expensive. The issue is felt the most severely within the realm of tokamak fusion reactors, which I had covered a while back. So the first tokamak was created before the planes in New York dropped, the towers in New York dropped, and the second one was turned on before this pandemic started. Fusion reactors force hydrogen atoms together with such power that they fuse together to form heat and emit a vast amount of energy. Tokamak reactors are the most popular type of fusion reactor, and they utilize the fact that hydrogen plasma are electromagnetically conductive to create fusion. A tokamak reactor is surrounded by powerful superconducting electromagnetics which squeeze the super hot hydrogen plasma within the reactor so hard that a fusion occurs. The temperature gradients within the tokamak are massive. The hydrogen plasma inside is at 15 million degrees Celsius, while the superconductor electromagnetics only a few inches away are close to an absolute zero, 270 degrees Celsius. As such, it takes a vast amount of energy in order to keep these electromagnetics cold enough to function. This fact, along with the few other insufficiencies involving current designs, is why it takes more power to run a fusion reaction than we can extract from it, and why we have yet to create a functional fusion power plant. DNA-made carbon nanotubes can help. You see, carbon nanotube lattices have the potential to be high-temperature superconductors. Their unique construction and high electrical conductivity mimic the crystalline structure of the supercooled superconductors, which means that they have superconducting properties even at room temperature. If a material were used in the electromagnetics of tokamak, it would massively reduce the energy demands, making it far more efficient to the extent that it could mean fusion reactors could produce far more energy than they consume, making them a viable energy technology. So fusion was unlocked, right? Well, we used DNA-built carbon nanotubes to replace all the superconductors inside tokamak, and hey presto, we have clean energy. Not quite. The DNA technology is in infancy. It needs to be refined enough to quickly produce miles and miles of carbon nanotubes with practically no fault, something we are still a long way from achieving. Furthermore, the tokamak designs will need to be optimized to use this new carbon nanotube-based superconducting electromagnet. Different superconducting electromagnets have different magnetic field properties which can affect the plasma dynamics within the reactor. This means new electromagnets aren't plug and play with current reactor designs. Instead, a new reactor must be designed and refined to work on this new technology. ITER has shown that it can take decades to design and construct a tokamak reactor, let alone optimize it. But don't let these issues dishearten you. There is still a monumental discovery to lead to the incredible advances, not just pertaining to fusion. As I said in the beginning of the article, carbon nanotubes could also be used to build a space elevator. All we need to do is unlock this bright future to make this DNA powered tech more reliable and scalable, something which is challenging but ultimately doable. It might just be several decades before we see any benefit from DNA built carbon nanostructures, but it's a thing. So reminds me of a conspiracy, or like these talks about these ancient past, and even in the UFO field, it's a strong resemblance to how people say that some of these crafts are living crafts, flying crafts. They are like the UFOs are conscious themselves. Imagine that there's like this race out there who found out how to make these superconducting crafts fly with also DNA created materials. So like maybe like they also attached an AI to it, and it was just, I don't know, it's a conspiracy. But also reference to what people think about our self-conscious crafts, like some of these UFOs, UAPs, in the sky nowadays and in our past were self-conscious, and so that's why the government doesn't put people in there half the time. All right, next article. Large Hadron Collider could be the world's first time machine, by Vanderbilt. In the latest theory of Tom Weiler and Chuan Hon, right, the Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest atom smasher that started regular operations last year, could be the first time machine capable of causing matter to travel backwards in time. Our theory is a long shot, but it doesn't violate any laws of physics or experimental constraints. One of the major goals of the collider is to find the elusive Higgs boson, the particle that physicists invoked to explain why particles like protons, neutrons, and electrons have mass. If the collider succeeds in producing the Higgs boson, some scientists predict that it will create a second particle called the Higgs singlet. At the same time, according to the Wheeler and Hose theory, these singlets should have the ability to jump into an extra fifth dimension where they can either move forward or backward in time and reappear in the future or past. One of the attractive things about this approach to travel time is that it avoids all the big paradoxes, because time travel is limited to these special particles. It is not possible for man to travel back in time and murder one of his parents before he himself was born, for example. However, if scientists can control the production of Higgs singlet, they may be able to send messages to the past or future. To test the researchers' theory, they to test the test of the researchers' theory will be whether the physicists monitor the collider begin seeing Higgs singlet particles and their decay products spontaneously appearing. If they do, Weiler and Ho believe that they will have been produced by particles that travel back in time to appear before the collisions that produce them. Weiler and Ho's theory is based on M theory, a theory of everything. A small cadre of theoretical physicists have developed M theory to the point that it can accommodate the properties of all the known subatomic particles and forces, including gravity, but it requires 10 or 11 dimensions instead of our familiar 4. This has led the suggestion that our universe may be like a 4-dimensional membrane or brain floating in a multi-dimensional space called the bulk. According to this view, the basic building blocks of our universe are permanently stuck to the brain and so cannot travel in the other dimension. There are some exceptions, however. Some argue that gravity, for example, is weaker than other fundamental forces because it diffuses into the other dimensions. Another possible exception is the proposed Higgs singlet, which responds to gravity but not to any of the other basic forces. So here's a representation of what people think our galaxy is in. There's this cosmic brain, which is a yellow, compacted extra dimension with the blue tube, arrow of time, the arrows, proton collision right here, protons right here, and a Higgs singlet right here, spiraling through the compacted extra dimension. So they think that there's a particle that can travel back and forth. Well, I mean, I don't know if they proved it. Let's see. Whaler began looking into time travel 6 years ago to explain anomalies that had been observed in several experiments with neutrinos. Neutrinos are nicknamed ghost particles because they react so rarely with ordinary matter. Trillions of neutrinos hit our body every second, yet we don't notice them because they zip through without affecting us. Whaler and colleagues Heinrich Pass and Sandip Pakvas of the University of Hawaii came up with the explanation of anomalies based on the existence of a hypothetical particle called a stereoneutrino. In theory, stereoneutrinos are even less detectable than regular neutrinos because they react only with gravitational force. As a result, stereoneutrinos are another particle that is not attached to the brain and so should be capable of traveling through extra dimensions. Wheeler, Pass, and Vasa proposed that stereoneutrinos travel faster than light by taking shortcuts through extra dimensions. According to Einstein's general theory of relativity, there are certain conditions where traveling faster than the speed of light is equivalent to traveling backward in time. This led the physicists into the speculative realm of time travel. In 2017, the researchers, along with Vanderbilt graduate fellow James Dant, posted a paper called Neutrino Time Travel that generated a considerable amount of buzz. Their ideas found their way into two science fiction movies, Final Theory, which are best for physics based version of the Da Vinci Code written by Mark Alpert, is based on the research idea of neutrinos taking shortcuts in extra dimensions. Joe Haldeman's novel The Accidental Time Machine is about the time traveling MIT graduate student and includes an author's note that describes the novel's relationship to the type of time travel described by Dent, Pass, Paksava, and Wheeler. Ho is a graduate fellow working with Wheeler. Their theory is described in a paper. So, I have two movies I'm going to go ahead and watch. Interesting. Next up, guys, scientists attempt to open a portal to a parallel universe. Does a mysterious mirror world lurk in the shadows of a perceived reality? It could explain a lot. Could 2019 be the year humans open the first portal to a shadowy dimension through mirrors of our own world? Scientists in Oak Ridge National Laboratory in eastern Tennessee hope so and have completed building experimental equipment that they are using to test this summer, which may allow us the first glimpse of a parallel universe, which could be identical in many ways to our own, which mirror particles, mirror planets, and possibly even mirror life. That is according to Leah Broussard, the physicist behind the project, who described the attempt to reveal a hidden shadow world as pretty wacky in an interview with NBC last week. The discovery of a concealed mirror world may sound like science fiction from Stranger Things series, but it has repeatedly suggested by physicists as an attempt of means to explaining anomalous research and results. However, as yet, hard evidence such a realm exists that has refused to manifest itself. One of the anomalous results, and the ones which inspired their research, dates back to the 1990s when particle physicists were measuring the time it took for neutron particles to break down into protons once they were removed from an atom's nucleus. Two separate experiments saw the neutrons broke down at different rates instead of decaying and becoming protons at exactly the same rate, which is expected. In one, the free neutrons were captured by magnetic fields and herded into laboratory bottle traps, and the other, they were detected by the subsequent appearance of proton particles from a nuclear reactor steam. These particles fired out of the steam from the nuclear reactor lived on average for 14 minutes and 48 seconds, 9 seconds longer than those of the bottle traps. It may sound like a small difference, but it has troubled scientists. But the existence of a mirror world offers an incredible explanation that there are two separate neutron lifetimes, and it could be around per 1% could be crossing the divide between our reality and mirror world before crossing a detectable proton. The new experiment will fire a beam of neutrons at an impenetrable wall. On the other side of the wall, a neutron detector will be set up, which normally would expect to detect nothing. But if the detector does register the presence of neutrons, the theory is that they may have gone through the wall by oscillating into the mirror world, becoming mirror neutrons and reappearing in this universe, and more specifically, the lab in Tennessee. Only the ones that can oscillate and then come back into our universe can be detected. Furthermore, the team will set up magnetic fields on either side of the wall, which they can alter in strength. It is hoped certain strengths may assist in the oscillation of the particles. Despite the tidy theory, the team is playing down the chances of revealing reality's shadowy twin. I fully expect measure to be zero. If they do detect a neutron on the far side of the wall, it could have profound implications. If you discover something new like that, the game totally changes. The existence of a mirror world could also explain our universe's lack of isotope lithium-7, which physicists believe doesn't match the quantities the Big Bang have created. The detection of the high energy cosmic rays come from a world beyond galaxy. Come from a world beyond our galaxy. Could also be explained by the existence of a mirror world. They are too powerful to have traveled only through the observed universe, but they have oscillated into the mirror room and then back out again. It could explain why that is the case. The mirror world sounds exactly like the upside down, like in some weird way. Uh holy snap. Holy snap. These are some good reads today, guys. All right, last up. China has discovered a brand new moon mineral and it could one day fuel fusion reactors. China is now the third nation to discover a new moon mineral and it contains an element that could one day power successful nuclear fission, the holy grail for limitless clean energy. Minerals are naturally occurring crystals and are made of elements. Earth is home to more than 5,000 types of minerals, including ice, silicon, and diamond, and many minerals found on Earth to have been spotted on the moon. The U.S. and former Soviet Union have found 5, and the International Mineralogical Association has now confirmed that the China National Space Administration have discovered the 6th moon mineral, Changizite. The team isolated a single particle of the new moon mineral from more than 14,000 other particles in their sample. The new moon mineral in December 2020 came from Chang'e 5's mission, landing on the moon, collecting 3.8 pounds of lunar material, and then returned to Earth to look at the samples, marking the first retrieval of the moon material since the 1970s. The Chinese Association distributed a small sample of the lunar material to nearly 100 groups for analysis, and the team from Beijing Research Institute of Uranium Geology managed to isolate a single particle of the Changizite from its sample. The particle is only about 1/10 as wide as a human hair, and the team had to use a high-tech process to isolate the new moon mineral from more than 14 other thousand particles. Why it matters: the discovery of the new moon mineral can deepen our understanding of the moon's history and current composition. The discovery of the particle mineral, however, may have more direct impact on life on Earth. The chemical composition of Changizite contains helium-3, an isotope of helium that's rare on Earth, but thought to be abundant on the moon. Some estimate there could be as much as 1.1 million metric tons of it in the first several meters of the lunar surface. Because helium-3 is non-radioactive, it's an attractive option for fueling nuclear fusion reactors. And right now, even if we are able to figure out how to turn nuclear fusion into a viable source of clean energy, our current fuel options on Earth are in short supply, and they aren't cutting it. Helium-3 could become a significant lunar export for power generation around the world, Aaron Olson says. If we could mine helium-3 on the Earth, perhaps by identifying places where Changizeh are most abundant, we could power the U.S. for a year with just 40 metric tons of the isotope. One of SpaceX's in development starships could carry that much to Earth with plenty of room to spare. Of the various volatile materials available on the moon, there is potentially only one that has significant value back on Earth. Helium-3, if used as a fuel in a nuclear fusion reactor, could become a significant lunar export for power generation around the world. The big picture for that to happen, we need to figure out where to find large caches of helium-3, then figure out how effectively mine it on the moon. And even if we then can return to Earth, we can't use it to create clean energy until we master fusion. Still, with so many teams working to bring both moon mining and usable nuclear fusion to fruition, it seems we might just be able to make the dream of limitless clean energy a reality with the foreseeable future. And the discovery of Changizeh could mark a pivotal moment in that journey. All right, guys, that is it for today. Hey, I just want to go ahead and say I appreciate all of you guys for checking in. Hey, this is awesome that we're doing this together, enlightening ourselves, bettering our body, our mind, our spirit, understanding what's going on around the world. And hey, go ahead and check out my sponsors, Boomer Boost. They're offering that 50% Black Friday sale, and use my coupon code 509 Divine Pines for 20% off your order. Also, go ahead and use coupon code 509DP-10 for 10% off your order over at naturalaction.com, and you will save your 10% off your order on orders of $2,500 or less. Use coupon code 509DP-20 for 20% off your order of $2,500 or more for your awesome water cleaners and water filters that you're gonna need, after this winter. You want some fresh water for the spring, you want to feel great throughout the summer, well, get some water filters. This will structure your water, clean your water. You'll be feeling amazing and feeling blessed. Hey, you guys will go ahead and love it. Thank me later. You can have a portable water filter. You can have water mineralization drops. If you have a business, you can put all your employees on good water. All right, guys. You guys go ahead and have a good one. I'm out of here. 509 Divine Pines. Go ahead and check out my website for new merch. And hey, this is just the first 9 months of me doing this. I will get better, and you guys will see greatness come out of me, and I will see greatness come out of you as long as you stay true to the ride. Be blessed and be high. Peace.
Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am a trooper, never getting caught up in the loop. Got up out it cause I found the truth. Woke up to a beauty of the day, yeah, the sun is shining, so I'm finna stay sitting, soaking up all of the rays, till I feel it surging through my brain like some booger sugar. Did a lot of cane, experimented with it, couldn't name all the times I did it, feeling like a fade. Yeah, I'm really glad that I let it go. go. Cause I gotta be prepped for the time when the plane ride is a new norm. So I know I'm gonna stay high, blaze on the ganja. Feeling like I make my music go to another level while I take off. I can't ever stop this, fell in love with it, fit like a glove. So I'm never ever done with it. So now I'm about to rip another beat, ayy. One day I'll make a million in a week, yeah, shooting for the top spot. Feel like I'm a hot shot, like I really got a chance with it. I will not flop, somebody gonna make it dance when I pop off. Gonna have all the bitches taking all the tops off. I've been feeling like I'm really gonna kill it for the rest of my life. So I've been staying focused. In my soul, I've been feeling like $1 million. So I know that everything is really getting closer. Yeah, no posers, only been hanging with the ones I've chosen. Only all the people that are living in the right way, cause they spending every day growing. Yeah, no whole shit coming in my life and then leaving in a moment. That's the shit I'll never let into my life again. Cause lately I've been feeling like I'm golden. Never showboat, I just showcase on my music that I made this far. Always knew that I could be the one that would get this far. Now I'm right here looking in my mirror, trying to figure out if there's any more fear. Cause I'm getting rid of it all, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting rid of it all. Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am a trooper, never getting caught.